A presentation of Solution Tree.
One of the things last year, I was going down to find a kid to go to a remediation session. And it's like the third time I'd gone after the same kid. And I found the kid and pulled the kid out, and kid goes, "You're not going to stop, are you?" And I go, "Nope, I'm not stopping. This is the way it is. You're going to get through this." And he goes, "Okay." And kid showed up every time after that, realized, he realized we were all on the same page, and that's how the game was going to be played. And that's, I guess, what I say about, it's the people here, it's the kids here, we all understand why we're here, and it makes coming to work pretty nice.
You hear this shift from focusing on teaching to learning. And when you hear that, it seems so, well, why does he keep saying that? And then when you make that shift, it changes everything that you do. Because suddenly, it's not the child who you're looking at, you're really looking at yourself. You're saying, instead of saying, I taught it and he didn't learn, you are saying, why didn't he learn, and what do I need to do? What do I need to do to fix it? And in this building, we have this thing called mirror check. Look in the mirror first. The first person you should look at when things are not going well is to look in the mirror.
I saw a cartoon one time that basically said, a person was saying, yeah, I taught my dog how to speak Chinese. And the response was, well, great, what words does he say? And, well, he doesn't say anything, but I taught him really well. And so that's the same kind of approach, is we can teach a really good lesson. We can do all the teaching, have all the focus on teaching we want. But if the kids haven't learned what we've taught them, then our efforts have been in vain.
School mission statements that promise learning for all have become commonplace. But when a school staff takes the statement literally, when teachers view it as a pledge to ensure the success of each student, profound changes begin to take place.
I know lots of schools will put those mission statements on the wall, and the hard part is trying to make them become reality. That's keeping the focus on the students, the learning that they're doing in the classroom, and making sure that we help the teacher keep their job focused on that also, and that's through some of the goals that we set, the action plans, and the work that we do every day.
We'll do, quote, whatever it takes to help children be successful. And that's our mission, to do whatever it takes to help kids realize their potential, to help kids do the very best that they can. And that's our mission, that we're not going to have any excuses for them not succeeding.
We've abbreviated the mission statement, so you want to share a little bit about that?
Sure. We met this summer as a team. There was like 7 or 8 of us who met all together, and we had to seriously narrow down what was our mission. Why do we exist? Why are we here? And it was pretty much we're here just for the children. And so we sat for hours trying to think of something short that the kids would be able to say on a daily basis and own it. So we came up with excellence for all, whatever it takes. And the children, it's their mantra now. So we actually believe it. We see the scores that we have from the remediation with Saturday Institute, but we definitely expect every single student to learn here at Vaughn. So.
And then you publicize it. You publicize it with the kids. You publicize it with the adult. All the adults in the building, all the kids know the mission. You could hear them today. At Vaughn, what is it? Excellence? They know what the mission, and they know what the expectations are. They know that we expect every one of them to learn. And not only that, they know that we're going to give them the tools.
You close your eyes. Imagine the school we want to be. What does it look like? And we created that collectively. Then after we created that, we said, okay, now what process can we use to get us there?
If a school adopts learning as its fundamental purpose, that's just a seismic shift. And it gets played out in the way that learning mission is embedded in the school. We embed the learning mission in school by focusing on fundamental questions.
The fundamental questions are: what do we want all students to learn? How will we know if they've learned it? How will we respond when they don't learn? And how do we respond when the students already know it? These fundamental questions are the focus of this program. Answering these questions establishes the foundation for a professional learning community.
When a team of teachers begins to clarify what it is they want their students to learn, they should build shared knowledge on all of the resources that have been designed to answer that question. State standards, district curriculum guides, textbook, assessment frameworks. Talk to the teachers above them, ask for a wish list of skills as the students enter that class.
So do you think that every time we discuss a mood of a story or something that they're reading, that we should then tie it, make a connection with them? Like, you know what I mean? So
I am in charge of putting together the agenda for the meeting, but that comes from everybody's input.
Last week when we were meeting, we talked about an issue that I had with our reading monitoring tool, which is the way that we assess our students on the indicators that we are studying over the quarter. But I was having a problem with the answer, whether the answers that I was getting were truly the answers that I was looking for, and whether the answer I expected was far too difficult for a fourth grader. So we decided we would make that an agenda item, and we sat down and we all talked about what are our expectations for fourth graders on these particular things, because otherwise you feel all alone. But with other people you can really talk it out and come up with an understanding what's expected and what should be expected in fourth grade.
And as that team becomes students of those documents together, they then clarify the most essential, most important skills, concepts, and dispositions that they want their students to learn. And then they generate that list so that they're all working from the same guaranteed and viable curriculum in that course or in that grade level.
It's amazing that we can sit down and we can plan out a whole quarter and know where we're going to be. So that it's not a guessing game. You know what you're going to teach every day, and you know that the person next to you is going to be teaching that. And if you have questions that come up, you know that we're all on the same page. It makes it easier. I have to admit, it definitely makes it easier to teach.
When I talk to schools who want to, take those first steps to becoming a PLC, the one thing that I always see is that they really need to have those conversations about what a course is about. What will a child be able to know and do and exhibit at the end of a course, and come up with those core objectives for each course. And then the next question that follows from that, how do you know? How do you know that they know those things? How do you know they can do that? And those then leads to creating common assessments. And so each of our courses have some evaluations at the end of the year, and then multiple formative assessments to help teachers structure the work that they're doing, to figure out what interventions they would need or what kinds of changes they might need to make in their classroom instruction to help students to get it, to help them be successful in that class.
In the following example, the 8th grade math team at Freeport Intermediate School reviews the results of a common formative assessment created collaboratively by the team. It's one of several formative evaluations given by this team during the school year.
This is what they had to figure out. So
they didn't even try, they just wanted to.
Yeah, exactly.
I had the box, and they didn't. So, I mean, she got it right.
So you needed 2 boxes on that?
But she did the 100 times 25 without the box.
Okay. Assessments are a very important tool how we use to monitor the progress of kids. Assessments, we take them over each objective that is going to be tested on the TAKS test. And we also have benchmark assessments that is required by our district after every 6 weeks. We take the objectives and we look at the problems very carefully and see why a student picked the wrong answer.
Formative assessments are used to identify students who need additional time and support for learning.
So sharing all of this data, we can pick up on where the students are having the most difficulties in not just my class, but all the other ones.
Formative assessments are also used to identify effective teaching strategies.
So it gives us a chance to see what we're doing well at and where we need to improve. And using that collaboratively, If I'm struggling in one area and another teacher wasn't, I can ask them what they did, and vice versa. If I did well, they can ask me, well, what techniques, what strategies did you use with your students to get these kind of results, to get them to understand this concept?
If we open the assessment process up during the learning and bring our students into that process so that they can watch themselves grow, we change the emotional dynamic associated with being assessed. Now it's no longer a source of fear, it becomes a source of confidence and persistence. But the key to doing that is to create an environment in which kids understand the achievement target from the beginning and get a chance to use the assessment process along the way to watch themselves grow. That builds their confidence, and then give them a chance to demonstrate real important levels of success ultimately at the end. And if we can get to that kind of an emotional environment of students beginning to believe in themselves, we now know, based on research conducted literally around the world, the result will be unprecedented achievement score gains for all students, but especially for low achievers.
Stevenson has a vision that really is success for every student. So going hand in hand with that is, what do you do when a student struggles or has difficulty in the classroom? And so it's not acceptable as an educator to have a student fail. And so we have to look at ways to support students and to help them. Our students receive grade reports every 6 weeks, progress reports every 3 weeks, and the parents are online looking at grades, and so they're constantly informed. But when a student fails a class or gets a D or an F the first 6 weeks, they're notified right away, and what we do is mandatory tutoring. So we don't let them off the hook. We tell the student that this is not acceptable. They go into our resource centers then. They work one-on-one with a paraprofessional in that content area, or they can also go get help from their teachers at the same time, but this is another backup resource. So the beauty of all of that is you really catch the kids that just didn't do the work. And so after 6 weeks of tutoring, and again, they're coming in during their free time, but it's mandated. They have some flexibility. And so after 6 weeks, you'll invariably see the kids that just didn't get around to, didn't want to do their homework, would rather get the work done because everyone's bugging them so much that it's easier to get the work done than to fail the class.
In professional learning communities, responses for students who are not learning are directive. Students are not invited to seek additional help. Students are required to get help.
When we see students not performing, whether it's because they're lacking some skills in that particular area or they're just not doing their homework, we have a pyramid of interventions, which we created a couple of years ago for students that need that extra support. We're going to talk about the pyramid of interventions, talk about your report card and how you've been doing, and just kind of catch up on what we can do to help you and what we need to do as the next steps in getting some of these grades up, okay? This is your current report card, and as you can tell, you have improved in a couple of classes, and that's awesome. I think that's from the support that you've received in the pyramid so far. So what do you think? Has that been helping you?
Yeah, a lot, especially in science.
I've noticed science is one of the classes you've gone up in, a whole letter grade, so that's awesome. The first time they are recommended, we meet with the students and we let them know this is not a punishment, and we're going to do everything we can to help you be more successful.
And the response is flexible. Students move in and out of interventions as needed.
How's that make you feel?
Good. Very good.
You smile more this year. I can tell. I can tell you're doing much better. A lot of students that need the additional help during that first level will actually use that time, about 3 or 4 weeks, to kind of get back on track, and the teachers can then drop them off of the pyramid if they've brought themselves back up. If they continue to need extra support, the pyramid is tiered where they get more support at each level.
For this part? Oh, you're writing out what you crossed out, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to make much sense.
One of the key aspects in a professional learning community is how a school is going to systematically respond when students don't learn. Hi, Lewis. Come on in. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Come on and have a seat.
The response is systematic, school-wide, and timely.
Reason why I called you down is I wanted to talk to you about the progress that you've been making on the pyramid of interventions. First off, I want to say that I am extremely impressed with the progress that you've made. Look at this. Reports just came in. Look at that. You went from a B- to an A- in language arts, You went from an F in social studies to a B. For us to let a student go by, let's say, 6 to 8 weeks without any interventions whatsoever was just way too much. A lot can happen if a student is really determined not to turn in work and not to do the things that are essential for them to be successful. If they're doing that for a long period of time, it's really hard to then get them caught up. So our staff is incredible in that they committed to referring students to us electronically every 3 to 4 weeks. I'm extremely impressed and proud of you. And the smile on his face when he's able to see that he puts in the hard work and he's able to then master those concepts and bring those grades up is really rewarding. So keep it up. Thank you. Thank you.
Clara approached me at the end of last year, and
Enrichment is just as important as remediation.
different ways to allow students that did not need extra remediation during that, what we call team time. It's our tutorial time. And so she was looking to add some more electives during that time. She approached me about starting a jazz band. You know, you can look at the kids in that group, and they are students who did well on their tax test last year and scored well and passed, and they are understanding the concepts, and they don't need the extra help. So what do we do for those kids to give them a little bit of enrichment, something different to look forward to? So I think it's a really great thing.
Here's a program that eases the transition of 6th graders into middle school and provides an enrichment opportunity for 8th graders at the same time.
Every 6th grade student that enters our school has an 8th grade mentor. They meet weekly during the student's core class. We have a couple of staff members who are advisors to our mentors that help develop the prompts, the activities that the 8th grade mentors will then implement with their 6th grade mentor students.
I think Avid helps you prepare for college. I've got to get it. Yeah.
Ensuring that all students learn requires a different kind of culture.
I think the big difference between a school that functions as a learning community and a traditional school is that in a traditional school, whether or not kids actually learn what's being taught is often left to either the child or chance. And in a learning community, one of the things we're really trying to focus in on is ensuring that all kids are learning each and every day at a very high level.
I felt that just changing the paradigm, having a huge paradigm shift from teaching to learning and being more diagnostic about our instruction and how we used our resources, I thought that was very wise. If you look at a physician, if you went into a doctor and said that you're not feeling well, the doctor really hasn't done his or her job if they just say, well, you're sick. Well, if I go to a doctor, I want to know what's wrong with me. And by analyzing data and collaborating with my peers, if I look at sets of data that pertain to student learning, I can diagnose specifically what are the learning ailments for each individual student, and I can start to be more prescriptive. So by focusing on each individual and their learning and their needs, pretty soon you have a school that operates at a pretty high capacity.
Well, when I first came to Marshall, I would often use factors about the students as an excuse for the students' performance. I had a large percentage of students whose first language was not English when I first came here, and I would often use that as a reason to justify their low performances on exams. And the collaboration held me accountable. The collaboration and the use of data in that collaboration really allowed me to realize that I'm the one who holds the ability in the classroom to help kids either succeed or fail. And that really completely changed my attitude about education, and it helped me understand my true role as a teacher, and it allowed me to stop placing blame on the students for performance and accept responsibility for that. So it's been a really empowering thing for me.
If you ask me, Mike, what makes it work, I'd say 2 underlying elements. One is a staff agreeing that you're going to take responsibility to ensure that all kids learn. but then two, empowering the people who are going to take that responsibility to make that happen.
Truly, I sometimes feel sorry for the class I had the year before because I'm not the same teacher today as I was last September, and it's because of the very close collaboration that we do with each other. And I think that for me professionally, that motivates me. It keeps the fire going. It keeps the passion in the teaching.
You have to go that extra mile to make sure that you can truly get the success that you really want out the kids. So continued improvement is a key element in our success. We just want to do what we have to do to make sure that we can truly get the success out of those kids.
I think someone who hears about this might say, well, every year you're supposed to be dissatisfied with the previous year and find something else to do. It sounds like it's a lot of work and that we're always having to set the bar higher on ourselves. And I'd say most of the people here think that that's what makes the whole job engaging and fulfilling, is knowing that you're a better teacher this year than you were a year before. That's the reward right there.